Corey from Free Play here. We are doing an epic tech day here at the lab. We've brought in techs from every single location. More are showing up as the day continues. And we're gonna record stuff. Right now, you can kind of see behind me, we've been clearing out space in the warehouse so that we can actually give attention to some of these games. So we're not sure how we're gonna cut this up yet. We might end up releasing like 7 videos from this. You might see 1 video, I don't know, but this is the intro, we're live. I was just talking about how this is kind of like, in some ways, the graveyard. A lot of these that we're taking out of the lab right now are games that are either never gonna make it back to the floor or have become true parts machines. And if you know anything about Free Play, these Blast Cities, for example, this is a complete Blast City right now. Not exactly a parts Blast City, but it's kind of heading that way. These monitors, these Nanow Tri-Syncs are super, super difficult. So what we've been doing is anytime we can acquire, not necessarily, they're not cheap, but a well-priced Blast City, we try to buy it untested just to see what we get. Sometimes we get great examples, sometimes we get poor examples, but we know no matter what, we need more parts than we could ever do without just buying a bunch of cabinets. So we've got this Blast City, we've got another Blast City over here, and at this point, neither one of them are scheduled to come out. They're just parts. They're important parts that could come up on the monitor chassis. There's a ton of discrete components there that we can't replace, that aren't made anymore. And then we've just got some kind of interesting stuff. Vertically mounted Metafox on a cabinet we hadn't really seen. We've got a Shinobi that needs work, a T2 that lost his control panel due to an emergency kind of damage to another one. We had to steal some of the gears from it, so we're gonna be working on that. Cruising World, this used to be at Arlington. Monitor went down and we've been having a heck of a time getting it back. And then just some interesting kind of like physical repairs that we're gonna try to get. This Sarge broke a leg, and we don't have a good plan for it. There's that Robbie Roto that I hate. And then look at this, just in the middle of the parking lot, an Atari Quantum, mint condition, except it's got a board issue, and we gotta work on that today. So you'll see some of that. We've got this Soul Calibur, we're finishing up some monitor work, getting that mint. We've got a Sinistar right here, we're working on some wiring. And then right now, the big early project, and probably the most important early project so that we can get access to these games back here, this Daytona 2. So we put it out at Free Play Fort Worth as a launch game. And the steering shafts were a little slippy. We tried a couple things to get them better, and what actually happened is they just kept getting worse. So we had to pull the whole game from the floor. What we did at first was we tried Daytona 1 steering shafts and Daytona 2, and I'm sure there's a lot of operators from the 90s or some techs from the 90s that are like, aha, you idiot, because I was dumb. Turns out the Daytona 2 shaft is slightly smaller than the Daytona 1 shaft. So we sourced a Daytona 2 shaft, except it got like opened by customs and lost. So then we sourced another set, and there can't be possibly that many more sets left in the entire world. But we have it. They're working on it right now. You can kind of see these Daytona controls are a pain to work on. Gears everywhere, belt-driven motors. It's rough. And the shaft is right in the middle of it all. So they're working on getting these. Is that one of the smaller shafts?
Yeah.
This is one that's broken. You can see the wear right here, and you can see why it was slipping. The little teeth are ground down almost completely. And it's one of the things you wouldn't necessarily notice if you're buying the game, right? So you buy the game, it seems to work fine because you play it a level or two. And then, like us, you put it out on the arcade floor, you put a few hundred plays through it, and you really start to see not all is good. So this is what the replacement shaft looks like. Look at these nice, beautiful teeth, not worn, totally worn. Now, I hope what you're thinking on the internet right now is, how long could this possibly last? Not long enough. So Daytona 2 might eventually be a dead game if we can't find a better source for these steering shafts. But for now, all we can do, fix it as best we can, put it out to see how long it lasts. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. This knocked this game out, this entire massive Daytona 2. The steering shaft issue knocked it out for like 3 or 4 months. But hopefully we get it fixed, and hopefully it heads back to Free Play Fort Worth, because I can tell these techs are super excited about having it back. Right now, the plan is we get past Daytona 2 and we unlock a bunch of games behind it. We got Night Driver, we got Fire Truck. These really true classic games that all have minor issues that I want the techs to be able to work on. And then I'm hoping to get to that Quantum. All right, guys, this is the Quantum that we were talking about earlier. 6100 seems good. Some sort of board issue. I'll check in with them, check diagnostics, and we'll go from there. All right, so famously, this game was super rare, super hard to identify for our community group during our close crop things where we take a small image, but it doesn't turn on. We've never actually turned it on. It came in on a truck. We plugged it in, nothing happened. You can kind of see in there, there's lots of stuff that could be wrong. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to drill the lock, it looks like. Once we drill the lock, we'll have a better idea of what we're gonna do, because today is also cut day. So if a game like this, for example, doesn't have a working board, doesn't seem like it's getting up, we're gonna list it for the community to purchase while we make space in our warehouse. So we just found this Miller Lite in here, and you don't find beers very often. You normally find things like old rat's nests or mud dauber type things. Whoa, we've got a select call. This is like Safeway Select, yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, try to help us identify the dates on these cans just for our own info. What is this though? It's like,
yeah, I don't know.
It's got like some holes. They're using it as like a pipe. Oh. Maybe so. Yeah, I don't see any dates. So yeah, if you're watching this, let us know, because this Miller Lite looks old. Given that we serve so much Miller Lite nowadays, I'm pretty familiar with the different cans but this is pretty old. All right, guys, so I was just saying they were gonna have to drill off the back because we couldn't find the key. Unfortunately, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty difficult drill, but fortunately, you have full access to the game board, power supplies, everything from the front right here with a nice huge coin door. So pretty much by design. So we're gonna start, we're gonna test some fuses, check everything, and then we're gonna plug it back in, see if anything happens, see what we're missing. I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear, and of course we did find some beers and maybe a homemade pipe inside, so God only knows what's wrong with this game. We'll find out. Whoa, just turned on, completely. Monitor charged. All fans are on. DC is up. AC is working. That's weird. All right, but it's blank on the screen. So maybe power supply issue. Who knows? Let's see here. Does it have a switch on the back?
Yeah.
Let's turn it off that way so I can better risk electrocution. Did that make a sound? Was that a little boop? Or was that it's scooting around? You got a power switch right here. Wait a second. Oh yeah, it's partially working, but not really. All right, so I guess let's turn it off on the back. All right, I think everything's getting power. If y'all can, let's pull out the board, check the connections and everything. It's this weird board stack right there. Ooh, looks like they got some toasty beer and stuff on there. Oh, that edge is rough. So let's turn it off and let's get access to that game board and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so right now they pulled out this board stack from Tomahawk 777. Really rare game. It wasn't working at all. Obviously, you've got a ton of repairs, maybe factory repairs, and look at the bottom right there. Just totally coated in whatever beer or whatever they had dripping that caused it to just rust totally through. So they're doing their best to try to just do a light clean on all the edges to see if we increase the connectivity enough to work, but it's in such rough shape. And it's just Tomahawk 777, which is a cool game, cool historic, like shooting game with a really cool cabinet that we'd love to get out. But if it doesn't come up to this, it's probably something we'd pass to the community. Obviously, and honestly, most of our customers wouldn't really care whether or not we had it. But there's definitely someone out in the community that would love to. All right, so y'all are about to throw this back in, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yeah, decrustified the connections.
I assume it's not gonna work.
Probably not, but I mean, it'd be hilarious if it did.
So for YouTube's purposes, if this turns on, it'll go right to the floor. If this does not turn on, which is what we suspect, we will list it for sale basically today. Because these Data East Daco games, they're really cool. They're an awesome moment in history, but basically, this is Space Invaders, like in a submarine. In fact, geez, I didn't even realize how they basically ripped off the aliens.
So we just basically cleaned, kind of decrutted the Tomahawk, just to see if that helped at all. Before it was coming up to a red screen. Now we got a nice solid black screen, so not progress necessarily. Make sure that this weird switch down here. Well, now you can kind of hear a response from the game, not just on the coin thing, but through the speakers. But doesn't look good. We haven't tested the voltage, and we're not going to, because it's not exactly a keeper. So, interested in Tomahawk 777? Go ahead and check out that. Geez, that sounds beautiful too. That DFW pinball trading and arcade trading. This will be listed in a second, probably for not that much money. So, if you somehow watch this in time, run, don't walk. All right, so they're basically coming into the home stretch. The next video will be us trying to plug it in just to test. Do we even need to? You're confident?
I'm pretty confident.
All right, we might not even plug it in test, but that's the first step of getting Daytona 2, which is really interesting because everyone always thinks on these arcades that when they go down, there must be some sort of like major like electrical component that failed, like a monitor or a PCB or anything. But with shooting, driving, all of those games that give extra human interaction beyond a joystick and a button, you can have games off the line forever because these components are getting rarer and rarer and just difficult to source. So mechanical component goes down, gets stripped, 4 months off the line.